Welcome to another episode of Game Boy Roulette, where we take a look at randomly chosen games from the Game Boy library. Super Breakout. I love every word in that title. Call it Breakout, Arkanoid, Block Breaker, whatever name you give it, it's one of the most simple yet addictive genres of games. Move your paddle back and forth to break blocks, maybe grab a few power-ups along the way to give yourself multi-ball or a laser. It's all immensely satisfying. There have been tons of clones of Breakout throughout the years, from the early days of Circus Atari to more stylish games like the criminally underrated Krypton Egg, and its influence can still be seen to this day, with tons of games like it hitting the Steam store. And here's a fun fact: Tomohiro Nishikado, the creator of Space Invaders, cites Breakout as the main influence behind the game. It's just one of those genres firmly implanted in the world of gaming. But bringing Breakout to the Game Boy is a bold choice for one reason. Game Boy already had its legacy Breakout clone. Alleyway was in fact one of the global launch titles for the Game Boy, overshadowed by Tetris and Super Mario Land, but still being popular enough to land in the 50 best-selling Game Boy games of all time. So going up against a game that is ingrained in Game Boy history is quite the task. But on the other hand, Alleyway isn't that good. Certainly nostalgic, but it's so basic that basically any Breakout clone surpasses it. So frankly, as long as the paddle can move and hit bricks with a small ball, this game has a good chance of taking the crown of Best Game Boy Breakout Game. And the box art is, made in MS Paint. Man, for a Game Boy Color game, this is incredibly underwhelming. The font is unimpressive, and the style between the backgrounds and the words clash. Come on, man, look at the box for Krypton Egg. You can do so much better. It's an arcade classic on the small screen. Let's get breaking with Super Breakout. Majesco. One of those companies I heard a lot about, but I don't remember many of their games. Super Breakout. Man, that was just such a disappointing title screen. Oh, God. So the ball bouncing around is the cursor. One player, brick sound beeping or beeping. Sure, version. There's a bunch of versions. I guess we'll start with regular. Go. Go. You cannot be serious. This is it? Okay, like, I wasn't expecting anything amazing. But there has to be more to it than this, right? Oh god, these sound effects are so boring. There's no music either, it's just eerily quiet. Oh, it's getting really fast. It's getting too fast. Wait a sec, did they screw up Breakout? Ding, dong, ding, dong. Oh my god. Oh, this is very boring. Not even that was exciting. Man, I'm really surprised. The bar, like I said, was crazy low. And I, at this point, don't know if they exceeded it. Okay, let's at least finish one level and then check out the other modes. It's the same level. Is there no level variation? Oh god. Okay, hang on. I have to check if there's level variation. I have done some research and come to a horrifying realization. First off, we're going to go ahead and switch to the Game Boy Color version immediately because there's nothing left for us in this version. But, spoiler alert, there's not much in the other versions either. It doesn't even look that much better. These different versions are the only variation. So regular is always that solid mass of blocks that we just saw. Let's turn up to musical, see what that's like. If we go to double, we have two paddles. Oh, the musical is not as exciting as I hoped. It just makes random tones. I wonder if you hit them quick enough, if they make, like, a song, but it certainly doesn't seem like it. They seem a little too random for my tastes. So that's it for this. So, let's check out another mode. Cavity. And we'll change it to noisy. Cavity has two balls in cavities. I'm kind of awestruck here. Like, when Super Breakout came up, I was like, alright, Breakout, heck yeah. Get some power-ups in there. Get some fun levels. There was a version of Breakout, or Arkanoid, I should say, on Super Nintendo that had boss fights and like a weird space opera story. Is my ball going through some of these, by the way? This is like the laziest version of a game you could possibly make. My ball is definitely... There's clipping issues in Breakout. The one thing that you need to make sure it doesn't do, and it's doing that. I'm in awe at how bad. Yeah, you know what? Bad. I was gonna say, well, it's not bad, but it is. Gaming evolved so much by this point, and this is what you're putting out? Oh my goodness. And the worst part is when you complete a level, it just keeps going. Same exact stage. Progressive. I was really hoping it'd be like, oh, each level's different for this one. But no, they just slowly move downwards. I don't even have words for what just happened. This game came out in 1998. In 1989, Alleyway was released at the same time that the Game Boy itself came out. And Alleyway is actually the way better game. It's not great, it's kinda dull, but it actually has some progression, it has music, it has different levels, there's stuff in it. This feels like something they put together in an afternoon. That's it. This is the whole thing. A couple different types of level, a couple different types of not even music, sound effect, and that's it. This is not the worst game I've ever played for Game Boy Roulette. But this might be the single most disappointing game I've ever played for Game Boy Roulette. And think about the ground that covers. Just terrible. Thankfully, we still have Alleyway to fall back on. And again, think about how bad this game must be for Alleyway to surpass it. Pardon me as I check the thesaurus for other words for disappointed. I'm just kind of gobsmacked at this one, because as I said, the bar they had to clear was as low as it could be, and yet somehow, some way, they didn't clear it. Breakout is a game that can be done in a variety of ways, with a ton of different tweaks to gameplay to make it fun, and this game made sure to feature absolutely none of them. This was as bare minimum as you could get. There was no music, only minor sound effects, and a mere handful of very slightly modified levels. And even putting all that aside, the gameplay wasn't well done, with the ball clipping through blocks and occasionally getting too fast to deal with, both of which are total deal breakers for Breakout games. And what makes it worse is that given the circumstances of the game, there is absolutely no excuse for how bare bones it is. It was developed by a company with plenty of experience on the Game Boy Color, and published by Majesco, which had even more games under its belt. And the game came out in 1998, nearly a decade into the Game Boy's lifespan, when games had advanced by leaps and bounds. It really is telling that Alleyway, a game that is pretty dull and was a launch title for the Game Boy, is far superior to Super Breakout, a Game Boy Color game that had every advantage a game could have and squandered everything. As I said when playing, this isn't the worst game I've played for Game Boy Roulette, as it's at least minorly functional, but it is without a doubt the most disappointing. It's unbelievable that they would release such a minimal game on the Game Boy Color, one that is easily surpassed by a game that came out a decade prior. They should have taken a page out of the SNES Arkanoid playbook. That game had boss fights! And that's all for another episode of Game Boy Roulette. Make sure to like the video, comment, and subscribe to follow the series as we continue to dig through the Game Boy vault. I'm Brian J, and I'll see you next time.